All right, so got to get started. Before we get too much into it, I'll go ahead and introduce myself, just get that part out the way. I'm UE 150. That's the United Electrical, Mechanical, Radio Engineering Workers Union in Charlotte, North Carolina. But we are public sector workers here in North Carolina. We don't have the right to collectively bargain, but we do have the God-given right to collectively action and build power to make our bosses give us what we want. We figured out a multitude of ways to do that, including petition campaigns, joining together with community organizations, and speaking out at city halls, because the government is our bosses. So we have a choice to go to them directly, a right given to us by the First Amendment under the Constitution. But that's just a little about me. I'm also a member of the North Carolina Medicare for All Coalition and a brother with the Black Workers for Justice. And also I'm a member of the Southern Workers Assembly. The Southern Workers Assembly has been doing great work and joined in the solidarity with the Bessemer City workers at Amazon and other workers here in the South. Our hashtag is Organize the South. There will be an opportunity for workers to tell us about the work that they're doing. It's going to be at the end of it. But it's 7:03, so I'd like to get started. Again, welcome everybody. I'm Dominic Harris, UE 150, North Carolina Public Sector Workers Union. And this is we are here first and foremost in solidarity with the workers in Bessemer, Alabama, who have already started voting to form their own union. We must understand that these workers, a majority of them Black and a large number of them women, have already made history with the drive to unionize one of the largest and richest corporations in human history. We want to do everything we can to help push history even further and make this union drive a success. It will be a victory for workers in Alabama, across the South, across the whole country, and without exaggeration, across the world. That is why we are supporting the Southern Workers Assembly call for a National Day of Action in solidarity with the Bamazon Union Drive. There are 20 cities already confirmed to participate on February 20th. The purpose of this call is to hear reports from all different actions around the country that are being called on February 20th. To join our efforts together and to inspire more cities and regions to call actions in solidarity, we want to go from 20 actions to 50 actions by next week. Now I'm going to introduce my co-chair for this meeting, Martha Grevatt. Martha is a founding board member, Pride at Work, former executive board member, UAW Local 869. Go ahead, Martha.
Good evening, Union family. There's this National Day of Action on February 20th, where people around the country, around the world, can show solidarity with this courageous struggle to organize Amazon in Alabama. This day of action is really building. For example, members of the International Working Women's Day Coalition in New York City and Gabriela in New York, a Filipino mass women's group, and International Women's Alliance Executive Council are proposing a global social media blitz campaign on February 20th, where activists are asked to post on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter selfies of themselves and others with signs that say, "I support Bamazon Union," in different languages, to heighten visibility and awareness of this significant union drive for Amazon workers and all working class people here and around the world. And we need to build this solidarity beyond February 20th. As we mentioned, 43% of the Amazon workers in the Bessemer warehouse are women, most of them Black women, who are super exploited and oppressed on the basis of racism and gender. Please hold International Working Women's Month solidarity activities during the month of March to show that every issue is a women's issue, including the right to the union. I'd also like to say just a little bit about history and its relevance to this struggle today. Specifically, one of the most important events in the formation of my union, the United Auto Workers, and that's the Flint sit-down strike. On December 30th, 1936, workers at 3 General Motors plants took over the plants. They occupied the plants, and they held the plants for 44 days, and they refused to leave until General Motors recognized the union. They won that fight. Amazon today is to the working class what General Motors was in the 1930s, when GM was the world's biggest corporation. This struggle in Bessemer, Alabama is a game-changing struggle, and we need to help these workers win. And that's why we're here tonight, and that's why we're asking all of you to get involved, to organize something in your area on February 20th and beyond. I'm gonna turn the floor back over to Dominic, who will be introducing the first speaker.
All right, we appreciate having this speaker on. I'm not sure if they're on yet. Let me check to see that real quick. They're not on yet. So
actually, Josh is on,
So we have Josh on. So since Josh is on, we're going to start out with him. He's one of the workers actually down there in Bessemer. Josh Brewer, the lead organizer of the Amazon Union campaign with RWDSU, is doing good work down there, and we hope to hear what he has going on. Josh, are you ready?
Sure, man. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
All right, Josh, you got the floor.
Great. Thanks everybody for being here. I continue to just be amazed at the amount of support that we have found ourselves having, and solidarity from across the country, not just labor groups, but community organizations, college students, literally anyone and everyone that is offering all things. I was telling a group earlier that we have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of unanswered messages, and we're trying to get to them, and we're trying to activate as many people as we can, but it's just been overwhelming on some level, and but incredibly inspiring. And so as you know, we started this campaign, just to give you guys a little background here. We started October 20th. We really started last summer. We were reached out to by a group of BHM1 workers that had some concerns. Basically, they were some more generic concerns in the way of wages and benefits and treatment. But, there was also some alarming concerns when we start talking about the ability to use the bathroom, when we start talking about being punished for having COVID, not having their COVID pay given to them, when we talk about management and human resources simply disregarding their cries or their complaints, just not even returning them back. These are things that we're not used to hearing on this level. One thing to note that we're really not used to hearing is that a facility of this size and this magnitude to have these kind of issues so fast. I think it's very jarring. For those of you that don't know, this fulfillment center opened in March. These workers were coming to us in June and July, and they were saying that the treatment was unbearable, the heat was unbearable, that there's bathrooms that are down in the facility and they have a hard time getting to a bathroom. Understanding when you hear workers talking about these getting to break and going to the bathroom, these facilities are 16 football fields. And so you can imagine having to walk from one end of this facility to the other. It's like going to Disney World. and you have to go to the bathroom, and you have bathrooms that are down. And the moment you leave your station, everything at Amazon, look, it's Henry Ford revolutionized 100 years later, right? I mean, it's all completely automated. It has to run on a full-blown automated chain. And the problem is that 95% of what Amazon does is automated, but they haven't figured out how to automate us. And if they could, they would. And so instead, what they've done is they've done their best to turn human beings into their robots. And I know that we hear about this, we've heard this struggle. I know as a labor person, we saw the robotic claims from Europe and those union drives, and we've heard this on different marches on the boss. But to really meet these people and get invested in their lives, it couldn't be a more accurate statement. They're treated less than human. And so I think anytime that you come to work and that you answer to a robot, and that your discipline is given to you by an app, and that you don't have a human to interact with and say, hey, I last night was my wife's birthday, and we drank some tequila and had some Mexican food, and now my stomach's upset, and I might, I might need a little bit extra time today. There's no one to tell that to. So instead, you go to the bathroom and you spend an extra couple minutes in there, and next thing you know, you're fired, right? And that is unimaginable. And so the idea is, the minute workers walk away from their station, it begins a countdown, what's called time off task, or TOT time, as the workers will call it. And essentially what that means is you're not working in this second. You're not efficient. You're not moving as fast as you can. And so when you begin to take these breaks, your TOT time begins counting as soon as you step away from your station, okay? And if you run out of your TOT time for the day, regardless of the reasoning, regardless that the bathroom that you normally go to was down, so you had to walk an extra 2 football fields to the next bathroom, and that took longer, you don't have that opportunity to share that with anyone. You're just given your discipline and you're out the door. You're out the door. And that is what is so incredibly unjust about what is going on, is that the amount of phone calls and workers that we've talked to that said simply, listen, I don't need anything other than to know that when I go to work every day and I do my best, that I'm going to have a way to make my mortgage, that I'm not going to have to come home and explain to my wife or my kids that this mid-level manager, whoever this guy or girl was that didn't like me, ran me right out the door. And I just want to know that I'm going to have that security. And I think that is a basic human ask, a basic human right. And I think, so what we're dealing with here is not a traditional labor campaign. We're dealing with a large corporation that's trying to change the face of work. They're trying to change how we operate in this country. And that is incredibly important that we stand up. And I think other people and folks of labor and folks in communities, they recognize this danger. And they recognize a company that has gotten so large that they control nearly every facet of our economy, right? You start asking around for people to show solidarity, right? And you start looking at things and you see that, look, the movies, the actors and actresses, they're controlled by Amazon Prime Video. The businessmen, the politicians, they're all controlled by Amazon. Because if you want to be an entrepreneur, or you want to create a product in 10 years and you want to go to Amazon and have them sell your product, but yet you were the guy known that supported that union campaign in Bessemer, and now you're going to get blackballed by Amazon. And that's a real fear for people. And it's not a shot against people not being willing to stand up. It's an alarm that we should all be very, very worried about when you begin to see an economy that can't speak out against a company because it's gotten so big and so influential that they can actually ruin their lives, right? And that is the threat we're dealing with here. That's the importance of this. And so, ultimately, I just wanted to kind of, really reiterate that this is exactly what everyone says it is. It is as important as folks believe it to be. These workers are mistreated as much as you are hearing. This is a very real campaign. It's very much a fight that we're in. There's an incredible amount of misinformation. Amazon has had 2 months worth of time to have captive meetings with these workers against their will, and to use this information and the ability to twist that information from people that they're paying $3,000 a day for. And that's not one person. That's the price of one person, but they have a whole lot more than one union buster in that building. That's just what one of them is charging the company is $3,200 a day. And you do not pay people $3,200 a day that are not capable of really messing with messaging in people's mind. This is done in a very, very smart way. They're using truth and manipulating it, or they're using a lie and manipulating it and making it look like truth. So we feel like we're going to win. We feel like the momentum is with us. We feel like our base and our folks are sticking to it and are strong. And we actually feel like we're growing. And so we're excited, we're encouraged, but we also know that we find ourselves in the middle of a real fight. And you know, with that, I don't want to take up too much time, but I would also like, Michael Foster, are you, Big Mike, you with us? Are you on here? I see you, Mike, you're muted.
Can we get
Okay, I'm unmuted now.
If y'all don't mind, Big Mike is one of our ground organizers, and he's been working even more so than myself, truly with the people at Amazon on a day-to-day basis. And so, Mike, if you could take a couple minutes too, and just any gaps that I missed or anything you think needed to be communicated, I'd appreciate it, buddy.
Okay, like Josh said, I'm the main organizer on the ground, and I've been working with the people, building up staff and building up the people and everything. And these people go through some tough things. Like one lady was telling me that they changed their schedule in the middle of the night. They thinking that they have the next day off, but they wake up to an email saying that they supposed to be at work at 7 o'clock in the morning. Now they late. Now they looking to be docked. And there's nothing that they can do about it. They can't go to HR, complain to no one, because it's just simply that nobody cares. They treat the people like a gigabyte, not even like a machine, because we know machines even break down at times. The way Amazon process is ran, it's ran down to the very second, the very minute. Anything that steps out of line can throw their process off. So that's why they're going through these things of this sort. I mean, I have people with COVID-19. Amazon is not tracing the COVID-19. They're not informing the people who they've been working around, because Amazon want their employees to come to work to get their shipments out the door. That's what they're more concerned about. And the thing about it is that the people have been off from work. I have people who have had to have surgeries because of the COVID-19, still have not received pay. We had a young lady that we talked to last night who recently lost her place to stay simply because Amazon has not provided her with her finances for her to pay her bills. And now she's back at work. She's back at work and still haven't received her checks from the time that she was off. And she's about to receive a check for the time that she's been back at work. And these are situations that they're calling us, telling us that they need help. We just didn't show up at Amazon. The people from Amazon called us because they have been crying out with their voices, and Amazon has ignored them the whole time. So we got together with a group and we put a plan together to come out here and help these people. And it has turned into an amazing things. I just left off the block where the people were coming in, and they're blowing their horn and they're waving at me. They're giving me the thumbs up because they feel like now we really have a voice out here. We really have people that care about us. And we're putting in their mind that it can change, because we're tired of these billion-dollar companies telling people, if you don't like it, you go find somewhere else to work. That's not the answer. And we cannot keep allowing these companies to do this to our people, to allow them to be able to dictate the way that they want them to work. And they saying, by us giving you $15 an hour, you should be happy. I mean, $15 an hour is okay, but it's not nothing to just be overly excited about. We have a saying at RWDSU that we want our people to have not just a minimum wage, but a living wage, because we're tired of just paying bills around here. we want to be able to enjoy life a little bit also. We want to be able to take a vacation to simple places like Panama City every now and then. I think everybody deserves to be able to enjoy a little money and not to be able to just barely pay your rent every month or barely be able to afford groceries every month. That's just not nothing that we stand for. I'm really finished. I don't want to take up too much more of your time because I can go on. Josh knows that.
Yeah, we really appreciate everything that both of y'all saying, man. I ain't know it was like that. I'll be honest with you. That's I'm just glad that y'all down there doing that work. And I really respect both of you gentlemen and everybody else down there that's putting up that fight against that billion-dollar corporation. Because hey, we got a saying here in Charlotte, the city work because we do. And Amazon workers, you know, if it wasn't for them, they wouldn't even be a billion-dollar corporation. And it's shedding profits and making work conditions better. I really appreciate you two gentlemen, and it's big ups to y'all. Much respect. So we're gonna continue with this call, and I have the pleasure to introduce. Well, first, let me just say that these reports from these workers and these organizers are going to be for 3 minutes, and just to conserve time. And I have the pleasure to introduce my brother from UE 150. He's an organizer. He's one of the main reasons why I'm in the union. His name is Dante Strobino, and he is a fighter. I tell you that, probably one of the most fighting fellas I've probably ever met in my life. Dante?
Appreciate it, Dom. That was, yeah, for sure. I'm humbled to be working with you and to be on this call. This is, appreciate Big Mike and Josh, what y'all sharing about Bessemer. My name is Dante Strobino. I'm an organizer with the international representative with the UE based in North Carolina, but also a founding member of the Southern Workers Assembly, which is a network of Southern labor activists, and that it was initiated back in 2012 to challenge the labor movement to put more resources into organizing the South. And we think that this campaign in Bessemer that y'all are leading with Amazon has a major potential to galvanize the entire labor movement, to really recognize finally the strategic importance and the concentration of global capital in the US South and the importance of organizing the US South, and particularly these major logistics chains, global corporations like Amazon. There's a huge amount of foreign direct investment from all kinds of corporations that invest like the South is a third world country in the US South, and are building a huge, as you all know, a major corridor, logistics corridor all through Alabama and other parts of the South, with major auto parts, other productions, meat packing down there, and down here in where we are in the South. And we think that this opportunity, we need to be built, we can use this to continue to build a solidarity network to continue this struggle and to keep pressure on Amazon and these global corporations, because the South has always been the Achilles heel of the US labor movement, with 55 to 60% of all Black people living in the South. We know in Bessemer city, 85% Black workers, that this has been a region that has historically been unorganized, and organized labor needs to use this opportunity to finally defeat the anti-union right to work laws, the Jim Crow bans on collective bargaining like we face here in North Carolina. But your efforts, I mean, seeing poultry workers like you, Brother Big Mike, and others that are supporting these workers, you being unionized and helping to support others in this major corporation to unionize, shows that this rank and file initiative is going to be victorious. We have confidence that you're going to win this union vote, but whether you win it or not, or whether we know that is just one stage in this fight, and building and maintaining the rank and file organization to act like a union, and to keep fighting. That's what Brother Dominic was sharing. We have to do here in North Carolina, where collective bargaining is illegal. We fight and act like a union, even if since we can't bargain, right? But we still able to win major victories and wage increases and safety and rights on the job and power over our lives and in our communities. And we think we've been building these local workers assemblies to bring together worker activists, unions, community to organize other unorganized. And you're showing what a workers assembly can do, bringing together organized workers to organize other unorganized workers. Particularly, we know the most oppressed Black workers are always going to lead, have historically led this, and this shows that this is an opportunity that we all want to throw down, and we're doing everything we can. And so the Southern Workers Assembly, we initiated this call to action, this National Day of Action on Saturday, February 20th. And I think we have about 19 or 20 cities now that have already adopted Amazons, and a majority of them are in the South, which is really critical. We have 4 in North Carolina that we're doing and targeting particularly fulfillment centers. But we're really, inspired by your work, and we look forward to continuing to build with you and organize this out. Solidarity, comrades.
Thanks, Dante. Thanks so much. And I want to remind everybody, thank you, someone who put it in the chat. Today is a very important day in history. It is the anniversary of the start of the Memphis sanitation strike in 1968. After 2 workers were killed, the workers went on strike and they won union recognition. But in the course of this struggle, we lost a great champion of the working class, Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. Also yesterday, I mentioned the Flint sit-down strike. Yesterday was the anniversary of the victory in 1937. And on February 11th, every year, it's called White Shirt Day because the workers in the auto plants put on a white shirt to send a message that we are just as good and as important as the bosses are. Next, I will introduce a wonderful speaker. Monica Moorhead is the editor of a book that came out in 2005. It's called Marxism, Reparations, and the Black Freedom Struggle. Monica, you're next. I think someone has to let Monica unmute, perhaps.
Yes, I just got word. Anyway, it's such an honor to be on this important organizing call. And I want to really thank the Southern Workers Assembly for organizing this, really this historic event. And I just have a short statement I would like to read. Martha just mentioned that today is the 43rd anniversary of the Memphis sanitation workers strike, when Black sanitation workers walked off the job demanding equal justice compared to whites in the areas of higher wages, better working conditions, and long overdue equality. 2 months later, they won important concessions. And as Martha pointed out, Dr. King was assassinated in Memphis, helping to bring national and international attention to this very important struggle. Now, 13 years earlier, Dr. King brought attention to another important struggle impacting Black workers in the Deep South. That was the historic Montgomery bus boycott, which I'm proud to say that my parents were a part of while attending Dr. King's church. I was 3 years old at the time. The boycott was a mass movement of Black super exploited workers, many of them Black women working as domestic workers in white homes, who were humiliated every day when forced to sit in the back of the bus whenever a white person made a request. It was Rosa Parks, born on February 4th, who refused to give up her seat to a white man, that ignited this year-long boycott. The majority of the people in Montgomery had no other choice but to rely on Black people like my parents, who had cars, and they were organized to pick up and drop off workers at designated sites from all around the city. This kind of organized solidarity was necessary and proved to be decisive. This type of grassroots organizing not only defeated the segregated transportation edict in Montgomery, but was the first major campaign to help launch the modern day civil rights movement with mass demonstrations, marches, sit-ins, shutdowns, and more in the midst of police and KKK violence. Today's Black Lives Matter movement is a byproduct of this 60-year plus struggle. Now fast forward to what is now happening in Bessemer, Alabama, 15 miles from Birmingham, with another historic development that is also majority African American and almost half of them women. And that is the union drive to organize the Amazon warehouse. The struggles in Memphis and Montgomery, as important as they were historically and politically, however, the union drive to organize workers within a monstrosity like Amazon is unprecedented. It has global implications because this is a global corporation worth close to $1 trillion. That's $1 trillion, whose profit-hungry tentacles stretch in so many cities and across so many continents. There were no industries like this one 60, 50, or even 20 years ago. But just like Montgomery and Memphis and other struggles, the Bessemer workers should not be alone, even though they are on the front lines along with the Retail Workers Union. They need class-wide solidarity amongst the organized and unorganized. That is why this organizing meeting is so crucial, to strategize on building this solidarity in deeds, not words. This is a motto that was put forth by my great-grandfather, who founded a school for former enslaved people in Snow Hill, Alabama. And I'm proud to say that I'm a member of the International Working Women's Coalition and the International Workers Alliance that put forth this proposal for February 20th that Martha raised at the beginning, this social media campaign. So in conclusion, as a Black woman whose roots are run deep in Alabama soil, I am here to pledge my solidarity with the Bessemer workers' right to unionize, because they are not only fighting for their rights, but for the rights of millions of workers globally, and the whole world will be watching. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your remarks, sister. We appreciate you and all the work that you've been doing. I now have the pleasure to introduce Brother Chris Smalls, who is nationally known for being one of the Amazon workers that first stood up against the tyranny of that organization. Brother Chris Smalls is now a member of the Congress of Essential Workers, and he is also a former Amazon worker. Brother, you got the floor.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate it. How's everybody feeling? I hope everybody's in good spirits. It's a very historical time in this country, and it's a pleasure and an honor to be here sharing this space with all of you tonight. It's an honor, solidarity to all. For those who don't know me, my name is Chris Smalls, former Amazon employee. I used to work with the company up until my termination last year, March 30th, when I held the protest outside of Staten Island and was publicly fired for holding a protest about health and safety concerns and in my community, and also for all the essential workers in that fulfillment center that was affected by this virus. A week after that protest, I was smeared by Jeff Bezos himself, calling me not smart or articulate, to make me the face of the whole unionizing efforts, which is, a Black stigma, calling us not smart or articulate by itself. When that happened to me, it motivated me to continue to fight against this company. Once again, I was hired in 2015, entry level. I know how these Alabama workers feel firsthand, coming in, working 10, 11, 12 hours on their feet. JFK, 14 NFL football fields, over 1.5 million square feet. And I opened up 3 of these buildings over the course of my tenure there at Amazon. And I had to, as a supervisor, I had to tell workers, if you have a gym membership, to quit. When you go home, when you clock out, to rest up and make sure you're eating healthy, just to prepare yourself for the next day, just to get through the next day. We probably walk the state of Rhode Island every single day, 30 miles, 60 miles a day. So you can imagine the physical aspect of it. And that's just the physicality of it, but the mental aspect of it was you're in solitary confinement. You're on the station, whether you're picking, packing, stowing, counting ICQA or quality, you're in this cubicle box for 10 hours a day with only a 30-minute break for lunch and a 15-minute break in between. And as Josh pointed out, you have to walk 5 to 10 minutes to get to your nearest break room or restroom. And my job was to track that, and I was a part of that machine for years on top of years. And as a worker, you're disconnected from the controversy, the outside support and the things that are going on. We as workers, as the working class, and a lot of you can relate, we're so invested into trying to survive. And there's times where we don't get the information that is needed. And I've seen how workers don't really understand how unions operate and how beneficial unions are to them. I was one of them. So this movement right here, this union vote, not only is it historical, it's a catalyst for this country, let alone this country that is, we've seen the unions being diminished over time, over the last 40, 50 years. So this is a revolution, and I'm so happy to be a small part, because it's going to be a collective action. I've said many times, it's never going to be Amazon versus one person. It's going to be Amazon versus the people. We all have to be David versus Goliath right now. And Alabama, Bessemer, you guys are absolutely the most important key. And as we speak, I'm on my way down to join the workers of Alabama in solidarity. I'm in the car as we speak, traveling down from New Jersey, 13-hour ride. And I don't care, I felt like this is necessary. This is a symbolic moment for workers to understand even from the Northeast region of the country, that it's important that we stand in solidarity with Alabama right now. And I hope that I'm able to connect with Big Mike and Josh as I'm in town for the next few days. I hope that our future action, I know there's one being planned on the 20th. I hope that is also amplified as well. We get as much outside support as possible, because the whole world is watching Alabama right now. Whether we want it to be this way or not, Amazon, we know, is Goliath. We know that they're a walking headline. We are aware of what they're doing, the union busting tactics. And we got to all stay resilient and stay together. That's what it's about right now. We have to counter anything that Amazon is throwing at us. And collectively, from inside, even on the outside, once again, we all have to stay together and rise up to the occasion. And I hope that this news, positive news, that this union vote gets passed, and this will be able to galvanize the workers all across the world, especially here in the United States. So Alabama, we need you to roll tide. And I'm so happy to be a small piece of history. Even after I was fired, I was publicly catapulted into the media spotlight. But it's not about me. It's about all of us. It's about all essential workers. It's about all workers of Amazon. And you guys have this opportunity, this window of opportunity right now to make great change in this country. And I hope that we're able to be successful. And I don't want to take up too much time because I know there's other speakers, but I'm so honored to be here sharing this space. And I would love to join in solidarity with anybody on the ground in Alabama, as I will be in town for the next 3 to 4 days. Please, reach out to me any way possible. I will share my contact here with you folks, and I would love to join you guys in any way possible, lend my platform, lend my voice. My organization will be in town as well, a couple members. So please reach out, join us in solidarity. Let us know what we can do for you guys. That's what it's about. We don't want to do anything that doesn't align to what the union wants and what the workers want of Alabama, Bessemer. So please let us know, and you have my full 100% support. And that's all I have to say. Solidarity. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much, Chris. And we're really honored to be sharing this platform with you as well. I'd like to now introduce another former fired worker of the Jeff Bezos conglomerate, Whole Foods, wholly owned by Amazon. I'd like to introduce a former worker, Megan Murray, who's from Philadelphia. So you have the floor, Megan.
Thank you, Martha. And I would just repeat, thank you everybody, for being on this call. I'm also extremely honored to, share this space with so many fighting people, so many comrades and friends. I would echo a lot of what I've been reading in the chat, which is that this is really a historic moment and a historic call. And I'm really happy to be here. So like Martha said, I am a former Whole Foods worker. I'm also a member of Workers' World Party. I worked at Whole Foods for about 2 years, and I started there just as after they had been bought by Amazon. And so I watched nearly all of the benefits that had previously drawn workers to work at Whole Foods be cut after Amazon acquired the company. This included healthcare for part-time workers, a profit sharing program, and that has just continued as time has progressed. Now, last summer, or I guess this past summer, during the uprisings against police brutality and racism, the workers at my store were actually faced with the cops essentially using the parking garage above our store as an outpost. And one of the nights the police were there, our store boss decided it was a good idea to steal about $200 worth of food and water to give to the police. Of course, this is after a number of the workers at my store were trapped in tear gas on I-676 in what is now a notorious really instance of police brutality in a protest. So in response, some of us organized a calling campaign to demand that our store leader stop giving food and water to the police and just generally the resources to the police. In response to this, and likely also as a result of management's knowledge of my previous efforts at organizing workers in the store, particularly as COVID had started, I was fired without cause. And in fact, they didn't even attempt to make up a policy violation. I was fired for an unspecified infraction. So it was quite bold, actually. And of course, I wouldn't be telling this story if it wasn't part of Amazon's well-documented pattern of union busting and worker repression, whether it's our friend and comrade Chris Smalls being fired for organizing a walkout, or a California Whole Foods worker being fired for publicly counting and documenting COVID cases at Whole Foods locations. Amazon has managed to nip every attempt at organizing in the bud before the possibility of unionization became real. Except that is until now, which is why this is such a historic moment. The workers at the Bessemer Amazon warehouse really represent a beacon of hope for workers in the US and abroad for that matter, who understand how this repression works. At my time at Whole Foods, I had many conversations with coworkers, and there was never a lack of complaints. There was never a lack of issues that people had with the workplace. But the main block that I noticed in people not feeling like we could put up a fight was this fear of repression, was this fear that they would lose their job. And this is something that the ruling class holds over our heads very effectively in many ways. We have no social safety net in this country. So if you lose your job, you could lose your house, you could lose your healthcare. And what are you left with? So really, despite Amazon's best efforts, the Bessemer workers have won a union vote, which is really a major victory in its own right. But this victory, we know, has also kicked the Amazon repression machine into overdrive. And this is why we're here today, to build solidarity with these workers and fight union busting. The Bessemer workers have showed us what's possible through organizing and solidarity, even at one of the most massive and exploitative companies to have ever existed. Amazon wants a battle, So that's what we're going to give them. And I just wanted to extend my thanks to Big Mike and Josh for your efforts. Like I said, this is really a beacon of hope for workers all over this country, and such a big deal. And so that's why we're organizing nationwide demonstrations on the 20th, coordinated for a National Day of Solidarity with the Bessemer Amazon workers. And here in Philadelphia, we are having one of those demonstrations. And so Amazon has hired the notorious union-busting law firm Morgan Lewis in response to worker organizing. In Philadelphia, we will be demonstrating outside Morgan Lewis's headquarters, which are right in the heart of Philadelphia in Center City, 1701 Market Street. We'll be there at 2 p.m. on Saturday, the 20th. So far, the endorsing organizations include the American Federation of Musicians, Local 77, the Asian Pacific American Labor Alliance, or APALA, Black Alliance for Peace, Food Not Bomb Solidarity, Pennsylvania Association of Staff Nurses and Allied Professionals, or PASNAP, Teamsters Local 623, and of course, Workers' World Party Philadelphia. And when we are demonstrating outside, we will be sending a clear message: no union busting on our watch. Every worker has the rights to a union, and fight racism and build worker power. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I hate to cut you off there. We're going to move this along a little bit. We appreciate everything that you're doing. And I'm sorry about them and their intimidation tactics and them firing you. I mean, it's part of what we got to put up with. We're going to continue to fight, and we're glad for you being in this fight with us. We're going to move on now to the actions that are going on around the nation. We'd like to tech would now allow participants to unmute and turn on their cameras as they're called on. Now we want to hear from you. We're going to call on folks to see what they have planned in their areas and the allies they've enlisted. We hope these reports will inspire more actions and strengthen communication so we all have more friends in more places. If you would like to give a report, please put your name, city, and organization in the chat. As you hear your name, please unmute, come on camera if you can, and introduce yourself. For the sake of time, we're asking that everyone give a quick 60-second report on what you're working on. Thanks. You guys have the floor. I believe someone's going to be calling your names from the chat.
Dominic, you got the first name on the list.
Oh, okay, I got it. Ava Biery, Workers Assembly Against Racism in New York City.
Hi, thank you so much. You guys can hear me, right? Thank you guys so much for having me on. I'm so honored to be in the presence of so many fantastic organizers. Very thankful for the words of Big Mike and Chris and all former and current Amazon workers organizing. I'm with Workers Assembly Against Racism. We are an organization that is fighting for the end of racial capitalism. We do a lot of coalition work. We're based in New York City, and we do a lot of coalition work with laundromat workers and street vendors. And one of our ultimate goals is to work towards a general strike against institutional racism. And this Bessemer organizing has inspired us to hold a solidarity rally in Union Square on the 20th and on the National Day of Solidarity. As an organization that's mindful of the inner workings of racial capitalism, we can't help but notice the mass surveillance that's employed by Amazon bears a lot of similarity to the mass surveillance that's used by the state against Black people in this country. That is, I'm trying to be quick, so thank you for having me on. Such an honor to be here. And yeah, if you're in New York City, come out to Union Square on the 20th.
Thanks, Ava. I'm now going to introduce Gabriella Kilpack, who's in Salt Lake City and is a UPS Teamster shop steward. Go ahead, Gabriella.
Am I unmuted now?
Yes.
All right, thank you. I'll be real quick. I can't turn my camera on, but I just wanted to extend my solidarity. I'm a UPS worker. I know what it's like to work in logistics and in a warehouse job. I know how hard it is, but I also know how much the Teamsters Union has changed my life entirely. I am a different person that now that I can stand up for myself, my coworkers, and I want to extend all my solidarity. I think it's absolutely historic and amazing what the Alabama Amazon workers are doing. And I think it's the most important thing that's happened in decades.
All right, thank you, Gabriella. I'm now introducing Susan Skinner. I hope I'm not butchering that too bad. From Cleveland, board member of I can't read that. Transit Union Local 268. She's a retired worker.
Thank you. Cleveland, which is part of Cuyahoga County, has been a union town and a center of Black power and rebellion in the 60s. Steel, auto, machine tools, and trucking. But now due to deindustrialization, the biggest job areas are healthcare and Amazon. Amazon is the new jobs engine in Cuyahoga County. There are 2 fulfillment centers, 3 Whole Food stores with over 6,000 workers. In Cleveland proper, Amazon is opening one of their last mile or hub facilities. The shop is built on the former site of Midland Steel Products, a union shop. And this is where we'll be holding a march and car caravan on February 20th. The hub is scheduled to open in March, and we want the 400 workers who will be staffing the hub to know that we have their back. Victory to the union in Bessemer, Alabama. Union now.
Well, thank you, Susan. And yes, I'll be at that demonstration as well. Next, I'd like to introduce Judy Greenspan, a member of the Oakland Education Association, CTA, in the Bay Area. Go ahead, Judy.
Thank you, Martha. I bring you greetings from the Bay Area. And I just wanted to let people know that we are planning to do an action on Saturday, February 20th at 12 noon at Whole Foods in Oakland, 230 Bay Place. And that Whole Foods has been the target of many demonstrations, starting with Occupy Oakland, because of the way that they treat the workers and because of the oppression there. And I just want to give a shout out to all the prisoners' rights activists, and we're going to be involving our very active prisoners' rights community in this protest, because it's so important to bring the issues together, because people inside prisons are incarcerated workers. In Alabama, they struck for a month. They went on a work stoppage, and we need to link these issues together. And here in the Bay, we are doing a lot of work, not only to support the Amazon workers, but to demand mass releases under COVID from the prisons. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Judy. I now like to introduce Susan Adley, National Lawyers Guild and Food Chain Workers Alliance.
Hi, somebody must have put me on the list.
Mm-hmm.
The Food Chain Workers Alliance is a alliance of 33 worker-based organizations in the food economy in the US and Canada. And I think that, well, I was actually just putting into the chat that we were planning on helping to mobilize for the February 20th action. I'm based in New York, but our member base is actually in several cities. So we're going to encourage our member base to participate in actions taking place on the ground on February 20th, and then also see if there's any of our members who want to organize their own actions. But my main question was whether or not there was going to be a parallel social media action or call-in for those workers in our organization who cannot be on the ground. That's it.
Thank you, Suzanne. I'm now going to introduce Joan Huang from the Workers' Assembly Against Racism. Go ahead, Joan.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Thanks. I just wanted to let everybody know that there are a lot of materials that have already been created. A lot of materials like signs, banners, cartoons, and it's all on the resource page. Thank you for putting it up on the screen here on supportamazonworkers.org. And this is very much a work in progress. So I think the point is that we don't have to reinvent the wheel over and over and over again. We want many people to be able to add their resources, their graphics, their chant sheets, signs, memes. If there isn't already, there should be a way that you can submit right there. Yeah, I guess we all know this, but this is our propaganda arm has to be just as strong, I suppose, as Amazon's if we have any shot at changing the narrative and building power. So thank you. Yep, that's really all I had to say.
We appreciate you, Joan. I'm going to be plagiarizing a lot of that stuff, so don't mind me. We now have Brian Deming, Amazon Worker Solidarity Committee in Portland.
Thank you all. My name is Brian Denning. My pronouns are he, him. I'm from the Amazon Workers Solidarity Committee in Portland, Oregon, like they just said. Really glad to be on this call. So what we've been doing in Oregon is PDX 9 Troutdale is a fulfillment center, about 5,000 workers on site. We've been organizing there. I'm a labor salt who was working there from May to December of last year as a lead water spider. I can definitely attest to the conditions inside. So we're doing a lot of work there. On February 20th, we will have a rally. We're having 2 former workers speaking and 2 current workers speaking. They'll be going to the press as well. We're doing press stories and we're pushing for solidarity with Bessemer, Alabama, as well as all the solidarity work we're doing here in Oregon for workers, making sure we're getting as much representation and as much actual organizing on site as possible. So thanks for the time. I just want to mention one last thing here. Chris Smalls mentioned, you know, what it's like inside there. I can definitely attest. As in a former life, I was a failed bank robber. I've done times in prison. I can definitely say of all the jobs I've worked in my life, working in prison factories, working in prison kitchens, Amazon was the most undignified and the most dehumanizing job I've ever worked in my life. So that's partly why we're fighting, why we're definitely here to support Bessemer, Alabama. Much love and solidarity.
Oh, thank you so much. And love and solidarity back to you and to Portland. Next, we're going to hear from Marinda Chrisman, who's organizing an action in Houston, Texas. You're on, Marinda.
She's not
Thanks,
able to.
Martha.
Oh, you got her. Okay.
Thanks, Martha. In Houston, we will be holding a demo on Saturday, February 20th at 10 a.m. when the store is at its busiest, according to the workers inside. We will also be leafleting at an Amazon warehouse outside of city limits. If you would like to join in our efforts in Houston, Texas, at the Whole Foods on Kirby on the 20th, please contact me, and my email is in the chat. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Marinda. We had someone from San Antonio, but ooh, that's gone now. So it's going to be back to you, Martha, for the next introduction.
Okay, sorry, San Antonio, but they are organizing an action. I'm going to introduce a trade union leader from Boston, a good friend of many of us, Steve Kirschbaum, the vice president of Steelworkers, Local 8751, the Boston Bus Drivers Union. You're on, Steve.
Very good. Thank you so much. I think I'm unmuted now. I want to say how much of an honor it is to be on this really historic program. As Martha mentioned, we represent 1,000 of the Boston School Bus Union members in Boston, Massachusetts. In 2013, a major corporation, Veolia Transdev conglomerate, took over the operations. I've been working there for 45 years. When they came in 2013, they fired the 4 top leaders, and we went through a 25-month struggle to be able to both win our reinstatement and win a new contract for our folks. And it could not have been done without solidarity. As our friends at Verizon Workers IBEW say, solidarity, it's not a slogan, it's a lifestyle. And it is what it does. Just 2 days ago, or actually this past week, our executive board passed unanimously a resolution in support of not only the Bessemer workers in Alabama, but to do an action at the Whole Foods here in Boston on February the 20th. We are choosing a place that we had been demonstrating in when they fired the Whole Foods workers. So we thought it had a lot of very important connections there. We know, and when we passed this resolution, our membership meeting this week, we also passed that we're going to be sending down a contribution of $1,000 to help with the Bessemer campaign, because we know it takes resources to be able to wage a struggle like this. Finally, I would say, our friends in the IBEW 2222 that we've reached out to are helping us out with this. We've reached out to the Boston Teachers Union, the Boston Interfaith Alliance, and we will be reaching out to every community and labor organization that we can. The old song of the labor movement, Solidarity Forever, tells us in our hands is placed a power greater than their hoarded gold. And Bezos and Amazon, they got all the hoarded gold, but we got the power. And if we do that, we can be a force to be reckoned with. We are so honored to be a part of this organizing, particularly by all these heroic workers down in Bessemer, Alabama. We do know our friends from Teamsters 25 were there last Saturday with the organizing truck. We're going to make sure that Amazon feels the pain up here in Boston. We are with you until every battle's won. Right on, and solidarity forever to you, sisters and brothers.
We appreciate the hell out of you, Steve. Keep on fighting. Now we have San Antonio. They've joined us. Teresa Gutierrez, fight for immigrants and refugees everywhere. Teresa, you have the floor.
Yes, thank you very much. I'm really excited to announce that here in San Antonio, several organizations, including the San Antonio Teachers Association, the National Nurses Organizing Committee of Texas, FIRE, my organization, Workers with Party, DSA, PSL, Housing Coalition, we're all coming together on Saturday, the 20th, and we'll be protesting at Whole Foods at the Quarry. I just want to say that Elon Musk and Amazon and these enemies of the people have all been coming to Texas because they see this as a right to exploit state. So the victory in Alabama, which I'm sure is going to come, will have great consequences for the struggle to organize workers in Texas. So we're with you all the way. We know you're going to win and fight the good fight, and si se puede, and hope to see everybody again. Thank you.
Thanks, Teresa. We have Joel Lombardo, United National Anti-War Coalition, Albany Troy Central Labor Council, Albany.
Dominic, he doesn't seem to be on.
Oh, I'm sorry. All right, so go back to you, Martha.
All right, we're honored to have on the call Remy Bruno from Baltimore Amazonians. You're on, Remy.
Hey there, thanks so much for your time and having us on here. We got a couple of us here. We're Baltimore Amazonians United, fairly young campaign. We're salting in several facilities in this region, Baltimore, DC, Philly kind of region. Yeah, I just wanted to say that we were able, Dante, who spoke earlier, was able to reach out to us, and to our grateful surprise, we've been able to pull together a lot of the local labor scene and political left around here. So we're going to be having an action on the 20th at DCA 6, which is an Amazon facility down here in Sparrows Point, which was the site of former Bethlehem Steel. We're going to have the Ojima People's Party has endorsed and said they'll send people to come out. the local Green Party, who are actually pretty good, the local DSA, the local Wobblies, IWW, and Educators Union, Community College Union. They're going to have people coming out. So we hope to have a fairly good demonstration up here. But more than anything, just solidarity with our fellow Amazon workers in Bessemer. This is just kind of an example showing that, you know, this system, all the capitalists in it and the capitalist system itself relies on us being divided against each other, and breaking the illusion of invincibility that Amazon and Jeff Bezos have created around themselves is going to be essential for all of us. So when we fight for each other, even people we don't know, we win. So solidarity, folks.
We appreciate you, Remy Bruno. Good work you guys are doing down there. Now, Diana Marthowitz from Atlanta, Amazon Workers Support Network.
Hi, I think you can hear me. So I just want to let you know that I'm a retired auto worker and I do a labor show on the radio and have had Amazon workers on and many other workers. And I do want to say that here in Atlanta, the Labor Council, the Atlanta North Georgia Labor Council is wholeheartedly in support of the February 20th action that we have initiated. And we look forward to being able to have a strong presence at a Whole Foods here in Atlanta as well, 650 Ponce de Leon, starting at noon. And we are looking forward to many other actions at other opportunities here in Atlanta to make sure through banner drops and leafleting at MARTA stations and other things to make sure this isn't just a one-time deal. We will be in solidarity with the Amazon workers till they win. Thank you.
Thank you, Diane. And next, we're getting through the list. There's exciting, so many activities being reported on. We'd like to hear from Devin Cole in Pensacola, Florida. Devin, are you with us? I see you're on the list. Someone has to let Devin unmute, I think. Or you have to unmute, Devin. Or not
Yeah,
yet.
I asked them a few times to unmute.
Oh, there you are.
They've been asked. You should move on.
All right, that's fine. We hate that we miss you, Devin. If we can get you back, we'll get you back. But moving on, we have Virgilio Aran, Laundry Workers Center.
Get yourself. We're planning, good evening. We're planning to, my name is Virgilio Aran. I just basically want to say first, you know, this one is an amazing victory, what the worker has been doing in Alabama. So this one is the first stage of victory, the fact that I have been able to stand up against this multinational corporation that we know as Amazon. So it's a huge, huge fight. We're going to be part on the 20th in the action in New York City, but also we're planning in Northern New York, in Northern New Jersey also to conduct solidarity action. The Laundry Workers Center has a group of warehouse also, which is a multinational corporation that they are in a fight, so they will be participating in a solidarity action. And also, the Laundry Workers Center just recently organized one of the first retail laundromat into union. And at a smaller scale, we face what, you know, union busting and all of that. So this one is our fight. The fighting of Amazon workers is our own fight. We are extremely happy to be in real solidarity. And also myself, as a part also of LWC, the National Domestic Workers Alliance, we were trying in New Jersey to speak with the coalition also to conduct solidarity action. So in solidarity, and really great job to everyone who's here.
Thank you so much, Virgilio. we now are able to hear from Devin in Pensacola. Go ahead, Devin.
Thank you. Can you hear me, Martha?
Yeah.
All right, great. My name is Devin. I'm a member of Workers' World Party in the Central Gulf Coast. And I am pleased to say that on February 20th, we will be having an action in solidarity with the Bessemer Amazon workers here in Pensacola, Florida. It will be at Florida Square, which is at 602 North Palafox Street. Now, we're close enough to Alabama and Mississippi to where if you're in southern Mississippi, in the Gulfport area, or all the way over to Ocean Springs or Mobile, or all the way up to Montgomery, you are more than welcome to come down. We would love to have you. We are open to working with anybody, but we will be having that action in solidarity. I was born and raised in Birmingham, and so I'm very, 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 very proud of Bessemer and Birmingham workers. Glad to see this happening. So solidarity from the Gulf Coast.
Appreciate you from the Gulf Coast, Devin. Good work down there. We now have Vision Verdry, a December 12th movement.
We have Nigel Bovair, who's on board.
Vincent is before Nigel.
Oh, okay.
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 Go ahead, Vincent.
I didn't. Okay.
Okay. Yes. Hi. Greetings from the December 12th movement to all the organizers down in Bismarck and across the country. We are organizing an event on February 20th at 1 p.m. at a new Amazon facility, which is just about ready to open in East New York, Brooklyn. It'll be located at 2300 Linden Boulevard, Brooklyn, New York, in the East New York section. It's going to be at the corner of Linden Boulevard and Essex Street. Again, February 20th, 1 p.m. We hope to see everyone out there, and we again send our solidarity to the workers down in Bismarck. And we hope everyone can join us in the fight. Again, 1 p.m. at 2300 Linden Boulevard in the East New York section of Brooklyn, at the corner of Linden Boulevard and Essex Street at the new Amazon facility. Thank you.
Thank you, Vincent. And now we're going to hear from Nigel Bouvard in Buffalo.
Hello, I'm Nigel Bouvard, member of Workers' World Party Buffalo branch. We don't have anything exactly pinned down yet, but we're considering a number of things, and we're looking forward to working with at least Queen City Workers Center, the Erie County Green Party, and the People's Power Party of Western New York. We are considering doing a flyering campaign at Amazon hub locker locations around the city, of which there are about a dozen, calling for people to act in solidarity with Amazon workers and describing the situation in Bessemer as far as their unionization efforts and just the general plight of Amazon workers everywhere. Car caravans at 2 of the Amazon warehouse locations nearby, and or some kind of flyering or demonstration at a Whole Foods in one of the inner ring suburbs here. At this point, everything is kind of tentative. We are going to be having a local organizing meeting soon, and we'll have more to report as the date gets closer. I'm sorry I don't have more. Thank you guys for having me on, and thank you everyone for your great input.
Well, thank you so much, Nigel, and I'm sure you'll organize a powerful demonstration within the next couple days. And that, for the moment, that concludes the list of people who we planned on having, and a few that we added. We've got about 15 minutes left to this call. So if you would like to speak, please put your name in chat. We'll get to a few people. And I did see that David Welsh in the Bay Area would like to speak. And I'm seeing Carol Lang and Elise Cayley. Actually, put Stack after your name if you want to speak, so we know you're not just putting your name there. But I'm assuming that Carol and Elise want to speak. So Carol Lang, if you wanted to speak, go ahead now.
I am so happy to see 200, over 200 people here, and that I know finally that people will be mobilizing to fight for workers around the country. I work for CUNY. I'm inviting people to come up to our demonstration on the 20th so that they can speak about the Amazon workers there. But essentially, we need to give up on the Democratic Party. We have to start organizing a Labor Party at the very least to defend the interests of the workers. And we have to start to mobilize a general strike in this country, because the conditions, as I'm sure everybody can see, is going to continue to grow worse. And the only thing that's going to change that is when workers rule. So it's time for workers to start mobilizing around our interests and not everybody else's. Please join us.
Thank you, Carol. We have our tech support that's pulling a stack together. In the meantime, I'll call on Elise, and then I'll let Dominic introduce the next person, and everyone keep their comments to 60 seconds or less. Thank you.
Hi, Elise Cayley here, and yes, Martha, you said my name exactly right, so thank you. You've got the right voice for German. And so just, we're up here in small town Wisconsin with the Communist Party of the Chequamegon Bay region, and this is really inspiring us to think of what we can do. We've been talking a lot about how most of what we could do at the municipal level has been preempted by the state laws, but we're talking about launching a campaign for guaranteed hazard pay for retail workers as long as the COVID emergency continues, and we're thinking of launching that at a honk and wave with signs and support, talking about how workers in Alabama are standing up for their rights and dignity, and we want to see more and more aggressive unions up here and try to put pressure on local politicians and such. So we're very excited for this, and thanks for all the great ideas.
Martha, I'm not seeing the list. I'm trying to get to it. If you see it, can you read out the next name before I get?
Yeah, or maybe Nate, you want to read them out?
There you go.
Sorry, everybody. There's so many coming in. Can we go to Topaz with SEIU?
Nate, maybe you want to read out like 3 in a row so we just know who's coming up.
Yep. So you get the Topaz with SEIU, then Aletta, and then Carol.
I think Carol just spoke. Carol Lang just spoke.
Apologies. Could we get Stephanie then?
Hey there, Stephanie here in Asheville, North Carolina. So we're planning an action on the 20th from 5:30 to 6:30 in the evening at the Amazon delivery station. This is organized with the WNC Workers Assembly, the DSA PSL, but we're reaching out to other labor organizations as well as the community. There seems to be a lot of interest and support.
This is Topaz. Sorry for the interruption.
Can you guys hear me, Stephanie?
Yeah, we hear you.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay, great. And then just wanted to say we're going to be having the rally and leafleting. And so we're going to be using the material that you guys have been coming up with, and we want to include testimonials from our local union members and include our local nurses with the Mission Hospital, because they just recently won their right to vote and are in the process of contract negotiations. So it's really exciting. So yeah, just wanted to say that we're excited about just showing for the labor organizations and the community to come together to show solidarity with the Bessemer Amazon workers, but also just to show that our local workers that we care, that the community cares. So anyway, this is great. Thanks, guys.
Do we have a few more names, Nate?
Hello, this is Topaz. I'm calling in. Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, I've been having technical difficulties. I apologize. I'm a former SEIU Local 1021 organizer, whistleblower winner. And we say, many of our workers say, we stand with our Amazon brothers and sisters. Now, I'm also a sensei, and I would like us to think ahead of time following February the 20th to organize a standing committee, a workers' council on the grassroots level to hook up with the ILW Local 10, which organized a port shutdown for Juneteenth of over 20,000 workers and the community. So please let us prepare thoughtfully. Let's think out of the box. I was fired. I want my job back. But like many of you, you are being harassed. So we need to not just focus on February the 20th, but invite all veterans, whether you have been directly involved with this fight. We have to, I want to have a clear way in case our internet connections get disrupted, because that will happen as we go closer to the date of February the 20th. I suggest we prepare thoughtfully. We have also a backup plan where we have cycled through handouts, flyers, and at key locations on a regular basis beyond February the 20th, where we can dialogue with our allies to make sure these brothers and sisters in Amazon and Whole Food workers are not isolated. So that's basically it. The last point is, someone mentioned that when Dr. Martin Luther King went to Tennessee, the sanitation workers were on strike. And that strike became a political strike where Black men stood up and made the point, I am a man. Right now, whether you're a woman or a man, I want us to commit to somehow making sure that this does not get lost, that we.
Thank you so much. Yeah, Dominic, do you have another name?
No, I don't have any names.
We have Aletta coming up. We have
Aletta. Talita. Yeah, I'm glad to thank you all for putting us on. I am a Brisbane Amazon worker here in the Bay. I am glad to have a voice as a Black woman. Let me tell you, it's very important in where I was that Black women are a part of this. Just like those on the other progressive end are doing the elections, it's important that you know that mothers like myself, which is why I'm planning this Richmond Hilltop Mall, meaning they took the whole mall where I live here. They took the whole entire mall. And so that is where their headquarters are. Please join us at 4 o'clock. Yes, if you're going to Oakland at 12, meet us and get it in your cars and decorate those cars, because I'm hoping to get some of the sisters that work with me at the late shift. Remember, we got children. Those sisters I'm hoping to get with me that still work there, because I no longer work there, and I do know what it's like. And I do need to know, especially in the Bay Area, it is so imperative. This fight with Bessemer is the same everywhere when it comes to white supremacy, and we must strike. We did a people's strike right here in Richmond, so we're gonna get SEIU, hopefully, and the DSA, and all those that came out for people's strike in Richmond, come through. We'll be there, February 20th. We're with you in solidarity.
All right, I found a name. Appreciate you, sister. We have Lori next.
Thank you. I am wanting to let everybody know that we are going to be in Garner at RDU1, the huge Amazon Fulfillment Center, the new center, doing a picket line and leafleting on February 20th at 5:15. If you're in the vicinity, please come on down and join us. We have a lot of interest from other unions and left groups. you can see behind me what is left of my bookstore when Amazon was a baby monster instead of the giant monster, and it swallowed up the used book business. It swallowed up my bookstore, and it swallowed up the heart of a lot of communities where bookstores were, where people could come and talk. And so I hope we can stop it before it swallows up any more of our lives. And I'm proud to be part of this coalition, Solidarity.
Oh, thanks so much, Lori. So if everybody keeps their remarks to 60 seconds, we can get through the next 7 names that are on chat, and then we'll have to close this amazing solidarity discussion. So we have Terry next.
Hello, everyone. My name is Terea Mitchell. I one of the organized with the Workers' Assembly Against Racism here in New York, and also People's Power Assemblies here in PPA NYC. So we're planning an action on the 20th of February, of course, at Union Square. So for folks that don't want to come to Brooklyn, or if that's a travel for them, because I used to live in that area. So I used to go to school over there. Well, not too far from there. So if folks can't make the Brooklyn, December 12th, then come out, then we are going to see, maybe we can hook up with the Brooklyn folks. We were actually talking about that before we got onto this call. So I just want to remind people that going forward, if these workers win a union, you know, how are we going to support them? Because Alabama is not is a right to work state, so they don't have to pay union dues. And it's a way to break the union, because union dues ensures that you have what do you call it? You have a person that just deals with union member things, as opposed to trying to deal with members' issues around your work schedule. So you have dedicated folks that deals with that. So are we prepared, if they get into the union, to put pressure on the union to support them? And then also, are we prepared to, you know, do an education or do some kind of drive to say, if you can pay your union dues.
Sister. We appreciate your comments, sister. Appreciate everything that you're doing and all your voice of reason. We have Mark, Henry, and Dave. If you guys can go in that order, we might be able to squeeze you in.
Thank you. As a veteran trade unionist of both teachers and machinists union, I salute all these efforts to help organize Amazon workers. I think we should tone down the rhetoric about a general strike and talk about the concrete efforts in reaching out to other unions, getting resolutions of support, getting bodies out there, commitments from other unions. The ILWU is important, as one person mentioned already. But there is also in motion nurses protests out here in Los Angeles, as there are in other cities for PPE. We need to get to their actions. There's nationwide efforts, coalition called Jail Killer Cops Coalition is organizing exactly for that. We should reach out to them. There are organizations working to end the US blockade of Cuba, US-Cuba normalization, immigrant rights organizations. Let us go to all of these people who are our natural allies and bring them into our February actions. That will show that it's a national effort, because this organizing drive in Alabama is so important, but we cannot organize this company just in Alabama, but an early victory there. I don't believe that Bezos has even begun his offensive against unionizing folks in Alabama. We haven't seen anything yet. We will see bribes. We will see efforts, perhaps give people a couple of bucks more an hour in order not to vote for the union. We've seen how hard it is in organizing the South, but we can do it. We can give our backing nationally, as we've done other struggles all around the country. Thank you. That's jailkillercopscoalition.org. And check out Cuba Solidarity groups, immigrant rights groups, women's groups. These are our natural allies.
We appreciate you,
Thank
Mark.
you, man.
We
Thank you, man.
appreciate you for everything that
Yeah,
you're
he
doing.
didn't get cut off.
Thank you.
It's like, wow, really?
All right, now we have Dave. All right, Dave's not responding. Can we have Brent?
No,
Oh.
I was just unmuted. I'm with the Letter Carriers Union with the post office in the San Francisco Bay Area, and we voted to support the Bessemer workers on February 20th. And also, I spoke this morning with Trent Willis, the president of the International Longshore and Warehouse Union, and they're supporting it. And he's going to speak at our rally on the 20th at the Whole Foods Company. And also the Workers' World Party in this area has been very supportive of these organizing efforts by the Bessemer workers.
Well, thanks, Dave. Okay, we're gonna hear from Adam, Brett, Leonard, and then maybe Henry will be able to come back on. Go ahead, Adam. Everybody really keep it to a minute.
Okay, hi everybody. Hey, I'm Adam. I'm from Portland, Oregon. I'm a Whole Foods Market worker. I'm also a supporter of the Internationalist Group, and I'm a member of Class Struggle Workers Portland. So I've been working in grocery department at Whole Foods Market for the past 13 years, and I've been involved in organizing at Whole Foods Market for a number of years. So I just wanted to, from Whole Foods Market workers that are organizing, to offer my solidarity to organizers in Bessemer, say hi to Amazon and former Amazon workers on this call. Thank you to all the previous speakers. I just want to encourage that anybody who is in touch with Whole Foods Market or Amazon workers to please have them get in touch with their nearest UFCW local so that they can join our organizing campaign. And building that solidarity between retail and warehouse and drivers and all along the supply chain is really going to be key. And labor is going to have to play hardball to win. And see you all at the rallies on the 20th. Thank you.
Is Brett available?
Yeah, hi, y'all. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, wonderful. My name is Brett Daniels. I use he, they pronouns. I am occupying Autumn land, otherwise known as Chandler, Arizona. I am organizing with the People's Defense Initiative based in Southern Arizona, but also with the Congress of Essential Workers, with Chris Smalls, and we'll be joining the team tomorrow to support the workers in Alabama, Bamazon, and support every worker in their right to unionize. So solidarity to all of y'all, and yeah, love and solidarity.
Thanks. Do we got Leonard now? I think Leonard, then Henry will be the last one if Henry can get back in. Leonard?
I don't see either of them, Dominic.
Excuse, what?
I said I don't see either of those.
I don't see them either.
Oh, all right. Was Adam one or did Adam already go?
He just went.
All right, so is that it? We're moving on?
Yeah, I think we're gonna close this call on this is a really amazing discussion. And we want to thank everybody for being on and for participating and for organizing actions. We're over 20 now, but we want to get to at least 50, maybe even 100. So really think about if you can organize something in your area. And for those who are interested, we have a progressive labor journalist on our call, Mike Elk. he'd like to talk to Amazon workers, and if there's a few other people that want to talk about organizing, stay on. But if the rest of you comrades, good night, stay safe, and beat back Bezos. I don't know if you have any concluding comments, Dominic.
Just for anyone that's going to put the action up, we hope to get to 50 actions across the country by next Saturday. Go to supportamazonworkers.org and list your event and sign the petition. Share it on your networks, and please, please keep organizing. Thanks, everybody. Good night.
Right. Mike, do you want to come off? Mike Elk, do you want to come off mute and introduce yourself? I see you are here, Mike. Can someone let Mike Elk unmute?
Hey, can you hear me now?
Yeah, we hear you. Thanks, Mike. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you for doing a great job moderating this. You know, I'm autistic. I'm not always the best at these Zoom kind of things, and it was a really illuminating experience being on this call. I wanted to talk. Saladin's on the call, isn't he? Saladin, right?
That was last fall when Boston Lyric Opera was
I
taking
think,
opera to people. That company still forced to cancel live performances. It and director
Someone
James
needs to mute.
this art form into the cinematic world and their fall of the.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we got you.
You know, I grew up in the UE. My dad is Dante's boss, so I really encourage people as a journalist, if you want to talk shit on my dad, you should do it, because, you know, we have to be honest. I was there during Chattanooga in the first vote in 2013. I lived in Chattanooga for a while. I was there in the last vote. What was that, 2019? I was there with Morris Mock, who put up, you know, all the folks in Nissan put up a hell of a fight, and I was there with Bowen. And I think one thing that really upsets me a lot is how much folks say that this is going to be such a big uphill battle. And I just don't agree with them. Because we all know from being around the South that the South is changing. And I would really like to talk to folks who want to chime in on this about what they feel is going on. Because we all know that, and especially anybody who's ever organized in the South, is that there's a lot of organizing going on. And so there's not much I really want to say as much as I want to hear. And so I would love to hear from folks. You know, we're gonna talk more about it. I would love to really hear from folks talking about what they think about this fight, because it's galvanized folks. And the one thing I want to say is somebody who was at Volkswagen at Chattanooga in 2013, who was there again 2 years ago, and then was with the folks at Nissan. And I got to tell you, Morris Mock, I saw Morris Mock was on the call, and
Hey, Mike, can I just interrupt for a second? Just
Yeah.
so people know that the meeting, the meeting for the Bessemer Amazon workers is over, and you were hoping to interview people. Is that what I understand?
yeah, we just want to talk to folks and figure out, you know, what they feel about what's going on.
Right.
I mean, we're not lecturing folks, but
No, but this is no longer part of the
yeah.
Alabama Amazon work. I'm just telling that to the people who are still on the phone so that they know if they want to leave, they can leave, or they can stay and talk.
They can totally leave. I'm not going to lecture folks. I want to hear from folks.
Oh, okay. Oh, good.
And I think that's very much the UE way. You know, my dad's the director of organization at the UE. He's technically Dante's boss. And, you know, growing up around that environment, you know, the UE, we come in, we organize the unorganized, and, you know, we try hard. But I think the bigger issue here is that when I go around to folks, I was there in Chattanooga in 2013. I was there the last time. I was there with Nissan. I was there with Bowen. And I've been in the last 4 major union elections. I was there on the first day of the West Virginia teacher strike. And there's some folks saying, it's impossible to organize in the South, to which I say that's fucking bullshit. There's so much organizing going on in the South. And I think what we're trying to capture as a labor publication is what is occurring. Because what I say to folks is, it's just not about what's happening at Amazon. It's about what that inspires among other workers all over the country, what's happening in Alabama. And that certainly is. And so I just want to be here to listen. And at the same time, I know Saladin is listening. And I really want to recognize the work of Saladin, of Morris Mock, of Chris Nelson, of folks who fought hard uphill fights for so many years. And anyhow, I'm just here to listen. And so I just want to hear about folks that may not work at Amazon, that may be in other places in the South, and what they feel about what's going on. So anyhow, sorry to go on a long rant there. Does anybody want to chime in? I don't know.
Mike, did you, just for clarification, your question is how people in Alabama feel?
In Alabama, as well as everywhere, because look, I lived in Chattanooga for a while, and like, the thing I love about Birmingham, I'm from Pittsburgh. When I went down to Birmingham, people referred to Birmingham as the Pittsburgh of the South. That is an area with a lot of traditions of union organizing.
Sorry, can someone else?
Mike, good evening, Mike. Good evening, Mike. May I ask a question? Do you want just to talk about specifically about about labor organization, meaning union, or other type of organizing process that is happening that is not in the framework of traditional labor unions?
Exactly, and this is important because we maintain a strike tracker. There have been 1,200 strikes since March 1st, and a lot of them have been non-traditional strikes. Exactly. A lot of them have been folks on WhatsApp. A lot of them have been folks on Facebook that are like, let's walk the fuck out. And so we're just here to listen at this point. And I think what we want to talk about is just more broadly is that this fight at Bessemer is important, but it's inspiring people everywhere. And the thing that upset me the most about the UAW was when they lost the vote in 2014 in Chattanooga, they blamed Southerners.
Mike, I think we've got a few people to hear from who might be.
Exactly.
I think if we take a stack at this time, I think we'll have some people.
I just want to hear from folks.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I think we need to just take a stack of people who'd like
exactly. Let's do that.
To speak. Thank you. I see we have Adam. I think we have Virgilio. We have Camilla. Maybe Camilla can go first.
I really don't want to say shit. I just want to hear from you.
Yeah, exactly. Just being down there in Alabama, I think maybe Camilla could go first.
Hi, I'm with Camilla. My name is Rob. We live in Birmingham, Alabama, which is, we live about 20 minutes from the Amazon Fulfillment Center, and are part of the local community groups working with RWDSU. And to kind of some of that answer though to about Mike is, I think often the South is ignored for how deep our labor history is. The union movement started in the South in Appalachia and kind of moved from there. Everything from, more faith-based organizing to militant movements of enslaved and indentured workers, cutting off the heads of their slave masters, right? The South kind of has this long history of all of this labor organizing, and it really came from there. And I think, oh, Aletta, hey, how are you? Southern People's Movement. Much love. I'll talk to you later.
Who's this person? This is exciting. This is a really exciting call. Just explain it.
So I think one thing is in Birmingham, we've got like a coalition of immigrant rights groups that do labor work, right? Doing a lot around wage theft, to more socialist organizations like DSL and PSA, more traditional organizing around cooperatives, worker-owned cooperatives, and democratically owned economies. That's huge in the South, and often was a result. A lot of the cooperative movement work was a result of a combination of a lot of unions back in the day were racist, and really still are. And
No, it's totally 100% true. Totally true.
and so that's a huge, obviously, organizing tactic we use in the South is cooperative organizing. From the Federation of Southern Cooperatives and the Black Farmers, building a major cooperative infrastructure in the South.
Sorry, I don't mean to be too much of a journalist. What do you mean by cooperative organizing for folks that quite understand what you're saying?
Oh, good, great question. I apologize.
No, you don't need to apologize. I'm just, I think there's a lot of folks on the call. This has been really interesting, and I think folks want to understand more what you're saying. And I think sometimes labor folks, we can be,
Yeah.
We often are talking to folks after work. We get into colloquialisms and all that shit. So anyhow, what do you mean by that?
So a co-op, the best, I think, a more technical way to discuss it is often it is a business that is owned by the members, right? And in a worker-owned cooperative, that means that the workers are the members. So every worker, it's one person, one vote, right? So any decisions that are made are not by some shareholder board of directors, right? But the workers directly make the decisions how the workplace moves. And there are other kinds of cooperatives besides worker owners, and the cooperative movement goes back even further than that kind of westernized version of what a cooperative is, right? So when enslaved folks were brought over here, right, they often created mutual aid societies where they could collectively and cooperatively pool resources to then help, basically buy their freedom. And so cooperatively working together to build economies, especially in the South, being with its high population of Black and brown folks, is kind of the root work that's always gone on in the South.
Excuse me, Kamala. We do have to end this call soon, so that a few other people could speak. We'd like to close it by 9, and maybe people can put their emails in chat, and Mike can get a hold of them and have a longer, more in-depth interview at a later date. Mike, if you're willing to organize that. Does that work? Because we've got to wrap this up.
Sounds great.
The one thing I do want to say, you're from Birmingham. I grew up in a big UE family in Pittsburgh, and something that really made me move to I think Dante and Saladin was Anne Feeney. She just died, and she was a big part of my neighborhood. She was a big part of who we are. But I'll never forget. There's this one instance where I was on Twitter and I was talking shit on these union busters down in northern Alabama. And I was mocking their accent, and I got called up by this guy Preston Ray, and he said, "What are you doing, motherfucker?"
Mike, we do have some people who want to speak still. I'm sorry to interrupt.
Fucking organize the same way you did. You know what I mean? That kind of thing. Anyhow, I hope everybody goes. But my email is melk@paydayreport.com or mikeelk@gmail.com. Thanks so much for inviting us to this call. It was really inspiring. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for all the coverage to the struggle. And
thank you for what you're doing. You're moderating. That's far more tough than what I'm doing.
Hopefully you can get the.
You're fucking moderating a Zoom call. This is impressive.
So people are putting their names in chat, and we'll forward those names to you, Mike. We do have 5 people. We have a few people that want to speak. We want to end at 9. Alida, Virgilio, Michael, Adam, Morris, do you all want to speak? still?
Sure.
Okay, we'll take those 5. Morris Mock, oh, from Nissan. I think I talked to you a couple years ago. Why don't you go ahead, Morris?
Yes. First, I'd like to say that I'm in complete agreement with the Amazon workers. This is what we have is a law firm that's they've hired this law firm to fight against them. And this is the same situation that happened with us, right? So, you know, they're using the same playbook and there's nothing new. You know, organizing in the South is difficult, but it's doable. And, you know, you look at even the Nissan workers, you know, how many people regret that they voted no and all this type of thing. We want them to stand together and get this done, you know, as a Nissan worker and a part of the Nissan coalition and the Mississippi Rising Coalition and all these different group board member. You know, we're with you guys and we're standing with you. Whatever you need done, we're with you. We also have our own Nissan organized workers group that has about 2,000 workers. And, you know, we are in solidarity 100%.
So let's hear from Alita, and then I'll let Dominic, you can call the last 3, Virgilio, Michael, and Adam. Go ahead, Alita. I'm not sure how to pronounce it.
That's right, it's Alita. So I'm gonna just do this. It's called Collective Courage. In here, by Jessica Rampart, she talks about why in the South, unions through the revival, through the Black cooperative movement, right, were pitted against other white unions. And so in order to unify, they had to come to a place that they had to accept the Black unions because we were just as lucrative, but we were killed by the mayors, the governors, the police departments, and there's lots of them, there's not just one. But if you know the history of unions, you got to know the South is not the same animal. And those unions in the South asked, please come work with us, Black unions. Please work with us. And until you read this book, and until you know the plight of what happened in our movement for workers, for striking, and why cooperatives came out, why mutual aid came from ending slavery. This is nothing new, right? But it happened because the people came together, and I'm talking about people of this African descent, and they built together collectively, cooperatively, and the unions they had were destroyed by white unions. So we must first understand, I worked at the Civil Rights Institute in Birmingham, and I worked with the Malcolm X Center in Birmingham. Until we understand, we must know the history, which is why the Black Workers for Justice is pivotal for this action to happen, because they're Black workers. And the history cannot be hidden or we will repeat it. Thank you.
We appreciate you, Alita. I'm going to go to Virgilio.
I think so. You know, my point about organizing and the organizing drive that is happening, and if it's able to win in the South or not, I think so that there has been so many organizing drive and very successful organizing drive happening in the South and happening all over the US. One of the biggest problems, I'm not from here, from the US, but one of the biggest problems I'm being organizing in New Mexico and Texas that we have, it is that we have been very limited in what we call the labor movement. So you have Arizona, for instance, during the election, workers from Unite Here and immigrants groups who are part of the labor movement, you know, really pushing and moving moving initiative to improve the condition of workers. Then you have also, you know, domestic workers, for instance, in Atlanta. I'm part of NDWA. But also, like even in New York City, with a case also with the Laundry Workers Center that I'm part of, in which we have organized like without resources, like 3 unions. And we have faced like a Jackson Lewis. We are facing now in our organizing drive, the former chief of staff of Donald Trump, who led the anti-union, policy in Wisconsin previous at this moment. And I think that it is how we defined also labor victories or labor move, the labor, like most of the thing that you've read about labor organizing campaigns and winning campaign, it is in the framework of trade organization. But there are many workers who actually today, like domestic workers, are excluded in some way from workers from bargaining, and it is extremely difficult. So I think like different organizations and labor are trying to figure out also like how to win some type of collective agreement outside of the labor movement. Also for unions, like and this is so amazing that happening here in the US. The fact that if the concept of what is victory, it is so crazy. So you need to get a collective bargaining agreement, and if you don't win the collective bargaining agreement, and you get 47% of the workforce, then you leave the workers hanging out, and you move to another place. Continue organizing that 47. 47 is amazing number of people, or 30%. Something that has happening in the South when
Virgilio, I hate to cut you short. I think they're trying to end at 9 o'clock. We appreciate you, and public sector workers here in North Carolina, we don't even have collective bargaining, but we still figured it out. But and that's what we're going to have to do. I'd like to go to Adam next.
Hey, thanks for the opportunity. So Mike asked, how did we feel about this? So, as a Whole Foods market worker, and also as someone with most of my family's in the South, that live in like Central Florida, Southwest Florida, I want to say like, this is not important, just because like a socialist or something, I want to organize unions. I'm at one of the Whole Foods market locations where one of my coworkers actually died of COVID in April. And what I see are these frontline grocery workers like myself, like they are getting sick and they are dying. I know people who work at Amazon who are in constant dread of these COVID notification texts, and they are getting sick and some of them are dying. It is very important that we organize seriously across divisions, across like I said before, retail and warehouse and delivery working together, because like this is actually like in the course of this pandemic, like this is a fight for our lives. And I'm happy to talk to you offline more. Thanks.
I appreciate it. Michael?
Yeah. I am connected with Community Solidarity with the poultry workers here in Harrisonburg, Virginia. And the Shenandoah Valley that Harrisonburg is in has 10,000 poultry workers, mostly Latino immigrants, some documented, some not, and lots of refugees from all over the world. And when I'm listening to Amazon workers talk about the inhuman conditions that they work under, it is absolutely the same scene with poultry workers. They're dealing with chickens, 140 chickens an hour, and now they're trying to push it up to 170 an hour. They make 20,000 cuts a day. They get carpal tunnel. There's a plague of carpal tunnel. All of these things, they all would like to organize, or at least a huge amount of them would. They live in fear because the companies are kind of left to run their own little world without much interference from the state. Anyway, we had an organizing effort with the UFCW Local 400 from 2015 to 2018. But then the union kind of ran out of the will to continue and maybe the resources. And so we haven't had a union effort since that time. But I can tell you that the reasons to organize are all there. The desire on the part of the workers are. It's just that we haven't been able to get any union to put the resources in. This is why this struggle is so absolutely important to us. Because if the labor movement has some victories, if we can pull together and do this kind of solidarity, and we can take on a company like Amazon, that is going to inspire putting resources into organizing. And it's going to make people realize if you can take on Amazon, well, then you sure can hell can take on Cargill, and you can take on Pilgrim's Pride and all these other multinationals that are exploiting these workers. So that's why this is totally inspiring to me, and we're going to do what we can. I'm going to join the Clearbrook event, which is a warehouse up about an hour and a half from us. A bunch of us going to join that. But after listening to this meeting, I feel like doing something here locally just as well. And I'm going to do all I can with all the contacts I have across the state to try to get this publicized and get workers and unions involved with this across from the state of Virginia. This has been extremely inspiring. And I think it's that the overall labor movement is absolutely crucial for that to rise up. And this seems like something hopeful in that direction. So I'm excited. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Michael. It's 9:02. I don't know where to go from here.
I'll offer a suggestion. Let's get busy and get building these actions on the 20th. If you're organizing an action, please go to supportamazonworkers.org so your action can be listed. And we want, like I said, we want to get a list of at least 50 actions. So this was really great. Thank you, everybody. And we will see you again soon. And thanks,
Martha and
Dominic. Great sharing with you, Dominic.
So real great sharing with you too, Martha. And thank everybody for the technical support. Solidarity for
yeah, the tech team, you've been great. Thanks so much. Solidarity.